are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. LSU football starts their spring practices within a week. What are we hearing around LSU football? What is LSU planning to do to close out this week to get prepared for next week? As it's going to be the first spring under head coach Brian Kelly at LSU. It's going to be very fun. Very, very, very fun to watch what the Tigers can put together this spring, as the fans and media will obviously have a lot of access, more than they ever have in the last 20 years. So we'll touch on a lot of things around spring football, things that I know LSU and Brian Kelly and the staff wants to get accomplished. Obviously wants to get accomplished, has to get accomplished, guys in positions that they want to see step up. So we're going to talk a lot about LSU football spring. We'll start it here tonight, and then we'll continue to go. Mike Jones. Who Mike Jones? Joins us at 7:30 as he prepares for spring. See how things are going on for him. Talk all things football, and we'll talk all sports with Mike Jones to let him know, or for him to let us know how everything is going over at LSU football ops. LSU baseball starts SEC play this weekend. Blake Money doesn't look so hot that he's going to be going this Friday, but we'll see. Out at practice today. No, got a little tape and stuff on his wrist. Nothing real serious. Let's see what LSU does. Jay Johnson said today that it would be to be determined on Blake Money. Let's see how he feels tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll have some news, obviously maybe a couple of hours before the game starts. And we'll see. March Madness is underway as it is the first day of March Madness. And it has been a crazy one. The Richmond Spiders, the alma mater of one of our guests this week, Matt Trent, takes down the Iowa Hawkeyes. And I guess you could say that if you're watching it now, it's still trending in the way of that we might have some more upsets. Now, we'll talk LSU versus Iowa State here tonight. Let's see how that gets rolling. So a lot of things to get into, a lot of things to talk about as well. So we got a couple of super chats already firing in here. Brian Penton with a $5 super chat. He says, hey, congrats for the Lions beating the number one team in the country Tuesday night. That's right. Lion Up beats the Ole Miss Black Bears, or AKA the Rebels. Absolutely great game. And he sends another one. He says the same thing. So I appreciate that, Brian. So all in all, $10 super chat. Yes, indeed. Ryan Thibodeau says, Ben and I need a DJ battle. Come on, man. They call me DJ D Blake up in this thing. DJ B Ruff up in this thing. Kelly says, hey, Blake. Hello, Kelly. Thank you for joining us. Chris English has got a feeling that Deshaun Watson is going to Atlanta. I hope not, but feel like it is. Yeah, we'll touch maybe a little bit on Deshaun Watson. I got to be a little bit honest. I'm going to leave the big boy sourcing to this one. Hiya. To guys like Rappaport and Adam Schefter. But it's been a wild day in NFL free agency. So I don't know about you, but I really do love free agency time, regardless if it's MLB or if it's Major League Baseball or if it is the NFL or NBA. I really just enjoy free agency. It's really fun to follow and really fun to watch. But I will say it's getting a little out of hand with Deshaun Watson. At least it feels that way. And Stephen says, quit messing with my emotions, Deshaun. Hashtag who that. Yeah, he's definitely not. He's definitely taking his time. But if he wants to go to Atlanta so bad, as so many people are saying, why hasn't he done it? You know what I mean? Like, if All he wants is Atlanta. Well, does he? Does he? Because why didn't he choose? Now they got the whole Matt Ryan thing that they got to take care of by tomorrow. But if I'm Matt Ryan, I'm letting the Falcons do everything that I want them to do if they're going to ship me out. So we'll see. All right, let's get started. Let's pay some bills around this thing. Everybody, you heard the voice crackling up there? Not a good sign. Not a good sign. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to your Facebook pages if you're on Facebook. So many of you following us there. If you're listening to us on YouTube, everybody be like the Hulk and smash that like button. Hulk smash. So many of you. You know, we got like 6,000 views a night on Facebook. Why don't we have 6,000 likes, bro? Like, y'all need to do a player a favor and hit that like button. Same for everybody on YouTube. If you're listening to us in the audio podcast platform, do us a favor there as well by hitting the like button, subscribe, rate, subscribe, do all that great stuff for us. If you're listening to us on the audio podcast platform. All right, let's get rolling. None better than our good friends over at GM Vardo & Sons, betonline.ag. Guys, with over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to servicing your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motor and chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. And tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. And our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, I've been telling you about BetOnline for such a long time now. March Madness is here. The chaos is here. Do you want to make some serious money by betting the underdogs? You got to go to betonline.ag to do it. Prop bets, parlays, they have it all. Use the promo code BELIEVE, and you'll get a 50% welcome bonus. That's BLEAV. BLEAV. That way that they know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. Again, it's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Fun time. Fun time. True Louisiana says Brandon facts. Speaking facts. What kind of facts is Brandon speaking? He says deep down Watson knows the Saints make more sense for him football-wise. Oh, absolutely, that's what he knows. 1,000% that's what he knows. Now, why he's making, why it's taking him so long to make a decision, that I don't know. That I legitimately don't know. The longer this goes out, I kind of feel a little bit better for the Saints, quite honestly, because there's so many things that they have to do. I mean, does Matt Ryan, what does Matt Ryan do? I feel like the less news that we hear on Matt Ryan, the better. The better. Spencer Trahan says, Blake over there drinking some apple juice on the rocks. Yep, apple juice. If you heard, my voice is a little scratchy today. So, gotta drink me some, apple juice to make it better, Apple a day keeps the doctor away. So, all right, let's get this thing rolling, and let's talk a little LSU football. Mike Jones planning to join us in about 15 minutes. Want to talk about some LSU football and spring football. First one, obviously, under Brian Kelly. And I know that a lot of the focus has been taken off of LSU football here over the last couple of days and maybe over the last week and a half. And I understand it, kind of a dead period, kind of a dead time. But still keeping my ear to the ground, still keeping what LSU wants to do and what LSU wants to accomplish. These are some of the positions that LSU, and in no specific order, obviously wants to see somebody in spring camp come out on top, if not multiple guys come out on top, so that they know that they might not have to use the last couple of spots in recruiting to go get another player. They hope that they have the guys in-house. Maybe they can go get somebody from the portal that maybe not they need to start right now and right away, but they obviously want guys to be able to come in here and really lock things down. Now, the first place that I'm going to start off is corner. And I know that it's given a lot and I know that a lot of people have talked about corner, and LSU has brought in a lot of good corners from the transfer portal. You got Jarek Bernard-Converse from Oklahoma State. You got Joe Fouché. You got Greg Brooks. You know, what do you do with Jay Ward? Do you move Jay Ward back to corner where he had so much success? You do have some really experienced depth at that position. But LSU, for whatever it's worth, still feels that they could use another corner. Because, guys, and here's just the truth of it all. If you're Brian Kelly and you look over the last, let's say 2 years, but mainly just last year, LSU started 15 different DBs just a season ago. Now, you do bring in a lot of experienced guys, so maybe that trend doesn't continue. But what happens if you don't have a guy that stands out? Now, I think LSU may entertain bringing in another guy. I know for a fact that they're possibly and more than likely going to bring some other guys in here later on in this process. But what I will tell you is they want somebody, if not especially two guys at that position, to step up and lock those positions down so they don't need to go into the portal and get somebody else. Because the feeling to me is this, and I'm going to tell you something that LSU is really hoping for too here, because they have a worry about another position. They want to be able to use the remaining spots that they have in this recruiting process, that if they absolutely need somebody for a depth issue, they can go and use it. That's the biggest thing. Now, you do have guys like Tyler Steen, the right tackle, big offensive tackle from Vandy, going to be at Alabama. LSU does feel really good about Tyler Steen. Let's see what happens there. But obviously they want their starting five to come out and make a statement. 5 guys that can make a statement. Now, what does Garrett Dellinger look like at center? What does Miles Frazier look like at left tackle? This defensive line is going to be extremely scary. And in spring practice and spring ball, when the offensive line does not have a lot of cohesiveness with all of the new guys that they're going to be surrounded with, there could be an issue this spring to start off, but you want to see them progress. You 1,000% want to see that unit progress. I think that they feel comfortable with that position, though. Completely feel comfortable with that position, that they have enough depth and some talented guys that could come in and play. Now, who the starting five is going to trickle out to be, we don't know. That's what spring is for. But I will tell you that they have their starting five. They're going to roll out their starting five and let the best man win. Now, staying on the offensive side of the ball, and this is where I was going to talk about the other night, but for whatever reason, I think we just kind of got late in the process. And I want to make this well known again, because the last time I said this, a lot of people told me how crazy I was for months on end. A lot of people told me that that Blake did not have the sourcing behind this, that Blake did not have anybody around the LSU football operations building that was telling him, not just on Twitter and these comments, message boards, whatever. But LSU did, when we had been talking about for over 2 months, go into the portal and get another quarterback. I'm going to tell you this, and I want you to prepare yourself. They're still keeping their eyes on another quarterback. Because I don't know, guys, how much faith there is from this football staff that Miles Brennan and Garrett Nussmeier stays. So I know when I have a conversation with anybody, and I mean absolutely anybody, it does come from a lot of people. Blake hates this guy. Blake hates that guy. And I understand it. I don't hate anybody. But I believe that let me rephrase this statement. Not that I believe you should be prepared. you do need to be prepared if that day comes where LSU does not have 3 scholarship quarterbacks on their roster. There's a reason you go and get Jaden Daniels. Maybe if Brian Kelly was here a little bit longer than he was, maybe he goes after a guy like Jack Miller that went to Florida. Maybe he goes after whoever it may be. They go in on Jaden Daniels, think he's a really talented kid. He comes to LSU. More than likely, they're going to do what they have to do to possibly get him ready. Do they hope that Miles Brennan can come in and compete? Absolutely. Garrett Nussmeier? Absolutely. But there's a different system and a different scheme that this offense is going to be running that those two quarterbacks were not really good at a season. Well, one didn't even try a season ago because he couldn't, and the other one wasn't good at it at all in Garrett Nussmeier. Now, let's see how those two guys progress. I don't think that you're going to get a lot from Brian Kelly from that quarterback position. But the good thing in all of this is this. Brian Kelly has opened up to the media practices, 2 whole full practices. So we're going to have a really damn good idea who's taking the step forward. They're not going to just be going through drills. They're going to have to put in some installation. The last position is this, and the last group is this. I probably should have done this right after corner, but I don't think that they have a huge worry here at the current moment. That being safety. You have a lot of talented guys that can play safety. A lot of talented guys. How they want to rotate those guys in and out, I don't know that, nor do I think that they do. Do you move a Greg Brooks back there? Do you put a Joe Fouché in the slot? Do you put Greg Brooks in the slot? What do you do with Sage Ryan? What do you do with Jay Ward? I think that they feel as if that position is going to work itself out. But they're still going to monitor it. They're still 1,000% going to monitor that position. Last thing before I get to some of these comments, we'll talk about LSU baseball and basketball here too. Also, it is Thursday. You can't fire in your questions. You can fire in the questions anytime at #AskBlake. But, guys, I don't know how much you're going to see of Kayshon Boutte this spring. I was told that he's got a little nagging thing going on. It was all precautionary, nothing to be alarmed with. Nothing to be alarmed with. So, interesting to see how this spring starts out and who they believe the starting 5 is. Our starting guys are all across the board. Who takes the first snap at quarterback? Guys, I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. I don't think that Miles Brennan just gets the first rep just because. Now, do you do it just to appease the team? Maybe, but deep down, he's really not that guy. He's not that guy, pal. Not right now. So let's see. Let's see. Marcus on YouTube sends us $4.99 via Super Chat. Says, Blake, my old lady said I'm hooked on your show. I started Millie rocking and shouted AYS for life. I love that. I love that. Well, hey, man. Tell her to join in. It's entertaining. Chris English says, yeah, we'll get to Deshaun later. A lot of comments in here about Deshaun. Feels like that's what everybody wants to talk about. True Louisiana says, Edward O, I hope they don't either, man. So what did Edward O say? Man, all of it's about Deshaun. All of it is about Deshaun. Okay, we could talk on it. Every single comment in here is about Deshaun. Guys, quite honestly, I don't know what to make of this Deshaun thing. I think it hurts Atlanta the longer this plays out. Like, if you really want to go there so bad, and I understand that you got to be able to do this thing with Matt Ryan, but at the end of the day, why isn't it done? Maybe he is trying to make his decision. But I'm going to tell you this, and a lot of people will keep saying the words like the Saints right now are a Super Bowl contender. Guys, I get what you're trying to say, but can we pump the brakes on that a little bit? Can we pump the brakes on that a little bit? Sean Payton is, even though I've had my issues with him, Sean Payton is a really damn good coach. Dennis Allen is still 8-28 in his career as a head coach. Right? Like, we all understand that. Let's just pump the brakes just a minute. I'm not going to yeah, somebody's asking about tight end. I'll get to that. I'm not going to overreact to Deshaun Watson coming here. He gives you the best ability to win over Jameis Winston, no doubt. No questions about it. No questions about it. But, let's get him here first. We got to get him here first before anything. Thomas says, Ruff, I feel they need to shore up a tight end, not only for the passing game, but for the running game too. I agree with that. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they feel okay with who they're going to be going after. I think they know that that's the biggest position, but we all know that that's the biggest position, and we can only talk about tight end so much, right? Like, we can only talk about tight end all the live long day before they're talking about who the starter is going to be. I was told that they don't feel that they have a starter at tight end right now, and that's understood. I mean, guys, Cole Taylor, he's got to step up. Cole Taylor has got to step up. And going into your third year, okay, you got to expect we need to expect more from him. Now, does Mike Denbrock being the offensive coordinator and Mike Denbrock getting his hands on him, meaning he's able to mold and help Cole Taylor, could there be a scenario where he blossoms and really just blows up? Yeah, there's a chance. I mean, look, they have a really good track record of molding tight ends. Now, those tight ends normally were very highly talented, very highly recruited. I just don't know if Cole Taylor's ready yet. It should tell you what they want to do. So, yeah. Ant Marshall from the Golden Boot podcast says, #ask Blake, bigger chance that Brennan transfers or Justin Jefferson catches a touchdown pass in quadruple coverage. I would say that Justin Jefferson catching a pass in quadruple coverage in the SEC is more likely than Miles. Or no. Maybe I misread this. And that's a good question. It's a very good question because he did do that. Let me think on that, Ant. Let me think on that. So you almost got me. Kenny Futch says Lowell Collins is visiting Cincinnati. Yeah, please go protect Joe Burrow. Please, God. Let me talk about this LSU basketball team. We'll end the show with some LSU baseball. Mike Jones said to join us in 3 minutes. I don't really know what to expect from LSU basketball tomorrow. No clue. I think that they have the talent, obviously, to go out there and beat Iowa State tomorrow. There's zero questions about that. Absolutely zero questions about that. I kicked my camera the other night, and it's freaking stupid. You got to love technology, man. You got to love technology. There we go. What was I saying? Oh, LSU basketball does have the talent to go out there and beat Iowa State tomorrow. Iowa State is not more athletic. I went and watched some of their highlights. They just don't have the athletes that LSU does. They just don't. Now, can Kevin Nickelberry go out there and prove the doubters wrong? Absolutely, he can. But I want to add this again, and especially when it comes to who the next coach of LSU basketball is going to be. A lot of people gave me pushback last night about what I said about the long-term extension. Well, do you disagree with John Brady, who apparently is saying that, going around town saying the same thing? Guys, Scott Woodward's going to shoot for the moon. When it comes to the next head basketball coach at LSU, he's going to shoot for the moon. He more than likely is going to give whoever the next LSU men's basketball coach is maybe a 6, possibly a 7-year deal. I don't come on here with LSU news when it comes to sourcing and just play around with it. So anyway, LSU does have the talent to win tomorrow. They have the mental capacity, though, not to want to play tomorrow. I know that there's still a lot of people that have talked to Will Wade, and Will Wade has advised them to let his truth be known. But at some point, we got to move on from this, man. At some point, we got to move on from it. Now, anything can happen in March Madness. If you saw, the Believe Podcast Network put out a March Madness poll, and the LSU Tigers won it. Shout out to all the Tigers fans on Twitter. We won the national title when it came to the Believe Podcast Network bracket challenge. I don't think LSU's winning it this time, though. They're not winning it in real life, though. Uh-oh. All right, right before we get in here to Mike Jones, Adam Schefter is reporting Falcons now have pushed back the $7.5 million roster bonus due Friday to quarterback Matt Ryan to Tuesday, giving Atlanta 4 extra days to hear from Deshaun Watson, to get a decision from Deshaun Watson and be able to trade Matt Ryan if necessary, per league sources. There you go, man. There you go. Breaking news. We got some breaking news here. That's huge for Atlanta, y'all. That's huge. They're pushing it back as much as they can. That would, my gut feeling in all of this is that the Falcons do not know. The Falcons just don't know what's about to happen here. That's big. Now, in reference to Deshaun Watson actually making a decision right now, which some people in Atlanta have been reporting, just is not true. It just isn't true. So let's see what happens here with Deshaun Watson. But let me just repeat this again before we get to Mike Jones. But Adam Schefter is reporting Falcons have pushed back the $7.5 million roster bonus due Friday to Matt Ryan, giving them 4 extra days to be able to sign trade and sign for Deshaun Watson. So very big news developing. We will continue to develop. I really, 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 really hope that this does not bleed over into the weekend. It feels as if it's going to be an all-weekend affair. A complete all-weekend affair. And my God, for all of you that watch TikTok, emotional damage is what I'm feeling. All right. Let's get to Mike Jones, and then we will let's talk some football with him. Football spring camp's right around the corner. I hear Brian Kelly wants me to go Rocky Balboa somebody when I hear him on them videos from LSU football, ba ba da 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 da, like I'm uppercutting Mike Tyson, I'm like, shit. I'm a dog. I want to suit up. I'm going to get my ass beat from SEC defensive linemen, but who cares? We'll talk to Mike Jones on the other side of this break about what's going on. And our conversations by now. Absolutely fantastic in everything he does. And this comes from our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Guys, get on over to our good friends at the Drake Williams Law Firm today. 985-386-7600 is their number to call, or go over to drakewilliamslawfirm.com real estate, title, successions, DWIs, anything criminal, they got it for you today. The reason they're the number one North Shore law firm is because they're able to tackle all of the above. Anything you need, they will be there for you from top to bottom. So get over there today or give them a call. Our good friend Ryan Williams or Ernie Drake at 985-386-7600. Again, 985-386-7600. Tell them that your good friend Mike Jones Jr. and Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. All right, we got the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only. Who?
I was waiting for it.
You was waiting for it. See, I'm getting a little bit better at hitting the timing of it. You know, I've been practicing. You know, you're practicing for spring camp. I'm practicing doing this. It's just absolutely amazing. But my brother, what's going on tonight, my man? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I just had me some crawfish, and I'm feeling really southern. I'm feeling Louisiana right now.
Okay. So listen, it's okay if it's the first time that you've ever had crawfish, but is this the first time that you've had crawfish since you've been in Louisiana?
Not my first. This might be like my third or fourth time.
Okay. What's the experience like? How much do you love the crawdads?
Oh, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. Only thing is, man, I had to learn how to like take off the tail and do all that. You know, I wasn't sure what I was doing for a while, but today I learned how to do it for real.
We're going to, so Mike, during the summer, during the break, when you're on break, we're going to put you through crawfish training camp, okay, on how to peel crawfish as quickly and fast as possible. But nevertheless, you're going to be a pro at it.
That's all I need. And, I learned that, and then I can say I'm really from Louisiana.
Absolutely. Well, you're the adopted son of AYS, so you're already from Louisiana. So, we love that. We're loving you joining us, Mike. So let's talk about that. Look, very quickly, we were just talking about NFL free agency. Deshaun Watson, obviously the biggest thing, but so many big things are happening. You got Devontae Adams going to the Raiders. I mean, this is so wild, Mike, what everything's happening. But I want to get your perspective on this as a guy that's, looking forward within the next year to go into the NFL draft, combine just happening. When you start seeing all this stuff, because I knew I was never going to the NFL. I was too Rudy Poo. But for you, when you see stuff like that, does it make you sit back and think to yourself, like, man, this is really a business? Like, do you take it in like that?
Man, so as I kind of got into college, and I like was around teammates who ended up going to the NFL. Like when I first started, I didn't think it was as much a business. I thought it was the game. Like, you just go out there and play, But as like seeing stuff like this, it's really crazy to know, like, you can really have to pack up your bags and leave immediately, and it's all for the sake of, these teams trying to win games. And so like essentially it all is football. But the fact that so much stuff can change that you really necessarily don't have control over, that's when like my mind is kind of shifted more into the mindset of, it truly is a business, and it's crazy to me. It's like crazy to see, but at the same time, like I'm excited to at least be in that atmosphere. I'm living all the college up. I'm loving my time. But I do think it would be very interesting to see, just how it is.
Mike, I think it is extremely interesting because, look, if you have a family, if you have a wife and you have kids, and then all of a sudden you're in sunny Los Angeles, and then you got to live in snowy Buffalo. I mean, now look, Von Miller just did it, but he's also getting paid $120 million to fly out there. Let me tell you this, Mike. If somebody wants to pay me $120,000, I'm going up to Buffalo and freezing my big ass off. I'm just letting you know that right now. But it's just so wild how all this happens. And look, I think it should show college guys that are going into the draft just how much of a business all of this is. And hopefully that does, especially with how crazy this stuff with Deshaun Watson is going as well. Starting LSU linebacker Mike Jones joins us. Mike, we've been seeing a lot of hype videos about you guys out there. I know that I quote tweeted it in complete fandom about you. I saw the great form. But, Mike, it really does seem like there's a little bit of a difference here, like you've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. what have you seen from the team from just a season ago until now, and how good things are going so far this spring?
Yeah, man. Things are going great. And, I wasn't able to do spring with the team last year. I was finishing my school up at Clemson. Um, but, I've been around a lot of springs, at this point. And I love like the way we're training. We got such a competitive group. And I like the way that they made us do it too. So like now, like a lot of our competitions are all broken into like our accountability teams. And so when we get out there, like my team, we coming to win every time. And like so that stuff all drives we is mad passionate, mad competitive out there. I know guys seen the tug of war. My team ain't won a tug of war yet. We haven't.
Okay. We did see that. Now, Mike, you've talking about your team. Who is on your team?
Man, I got a big group. Let me try to see. I'll give you the big body. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like I'll show you our big guy. You know what I'm saying? You gotta think like teams got offensive linemen. I went for more of a speedy group. Like my big guy is Savion Jones. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay.
So when we get to things like tug of war, we might not win, but when we race, we run.
It's over. Right.
You know
It's
what I'm
over.
saying? Yeah, we got a lot of dudes. Me, of course, I pick as much of the backers as I can. Guys love to get a back because we the smart ones, we the good ones. But
Okay. Shots
yeah, I got some
fired. Shots fired at the O lineman, but okay. I love it. I dig it.
And looking back, I wish I had an O lineman just for tug of war because we would have some points if we would have won.
I mean, you pretty much could have put the rope around Anthony Bradford and just tell him to stand there, and y'all would have won. Yeah, I mean, you know that, correct?
Absolutely. That's an easy win.
Very easy win, but it looks fun. Look, Mike, I mean, you see these things all the time, and it obviously brings, and on a serious note, it brings out the competitor in you. And speaking of competitors, last week, and we had a lot of fan questions, and I know that something that me and you talked about off the air, but a lot of fan questions about when you're competing. And, I always think about the opponent that maybe got the better of me the last time, or a team that got me better the last time. But for you, is there somebody that you've played in college, high school, not so obviously you're not in the pros yet, but who is that guy that is just probably the best that you've ever gone against since you've been in college or high school?
The best? Now, see, that's a tough question, because like if I look back at like 2019, the year LSU won it, if I'm just looking at game management and just taking over a game, probably Joe.
Okay.
Probably Joe. But I wasn't out on the field like that, I was behind Isaiah Simmons still, so at this point, I was watching the show and running down on special teams. But so if I'm saying just guys I've watched, it's Joe. But also when it comes to watching, and I've got to play against them because of practice. But Trevor, both of them guys, dog, the way they just manage, it's like man, it's like you can be in a game with them and have your plan for them, and just like they will not let none of that happen. Like it's not even like the fact that you're doing anything to stop it. It's just like they're putting their guys in such best positions to, win the down, win the play that, it makes it hard. But I would say, yeah, the one that I got to play against, probably Justin Fields. I'm not gonna lie, he let it loose on us. There wasn't much we could do, and handled the game. I mean, we took a big shot like late in the third quarter. I think he might have broken his ribs and came in throwing touchdown still. I was like, bro, this dude doesn't stop.
Well, if memory serves me correctly, you got an interception on your boy, and he had only thrown one interception the entire season. Take us through that play.
So yeah, man, I can actually get real deep in this. I've watched this a good little bit of times. So yeah, man. I remember we're kind of like we might have been in the red zone. We were in the red zone, and I know I just had a tendency whenever they would get into this like bunch type formations. A lot of teams, they I know for me, like I was expecting to at the top of them, we're gonna get a 7 cut. I'm gonna get a sale of a freaking corner route by one of them. And so I was like the flat player, and I saw the bunch, and so automatically I'm already thinking, they're probably gonna try to hit that 7 route. And so they hiked the ball. I don't even remember what ran. I don't remember who ran what, but I know I had one guy come out to the flats, and he was trying to, and I mean, at least from what I would think, what I'm saying, they're trying to pull the flat player down so they could kind of throw it behind them. We were in a cover 3 concept, and I just kept sinking instead of like running down on my man, like this dude's open, but I know it's gonna be one behind me. So I'm like kind of like playing it like sideways and like shuffling like with my back against the sideline so I could go either way. I can break down on this one if he throws a short one, but I can also turn and try to help, if he were to throw the corner. And he threw the corner, and I honestly I wasn't even like when I caught the ball, like I wasn't even looking at it almost. I was like, oh, it's in my hands. Let's go.
How long did it take for you to realize that you just caught the pick? Like, was it instant? Or we were like, what? Well, I'm going to leave that alone. I'll tell you what I was thinking off air. But like, was it an instant reaction? Like, oh crap, I got it. Let's go. Or did it take you a second?
It didn't really hit me. Like I just caught it. You know what I'm saying? And I was out like almost out of bounds. Like I caught it, like stepped, like got my feet down and stepped out of bounds. But then once I stepped out of bounds, I get about the rip. I was like, hey, I just caught a pick. Like I turned up after that. But in the moment, I was like, oh, well, like I'm like locked into the game. Like I catch it, like, step out of bounds, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. But yeah, in the moment, I definitely was not thinking that. I was not thinking about that at all. I was thinking like, yo, did he catch the ball?
Right. Well, I think, and I'm pretty sure it was against Chris Olave, who might be the first wide receiver taken in the NFL draft this year. So when you're meeting with teams at the combine, say, yeah, hey, remember Chris Olave? No real big deal. Just caught a pick on him. No real big deal. Justin Fields. Oh, that guy. Give him like a fake little laugh, Just say, yeah.
See what I did to them guys? Like I'm hitting with that.
Hey, Brad, did you see what I did to Chris Olave over there? That's something I would do. And you know what they'd say? Like, Blake, you were playing Madden. Like that's what they that's what they tell you. Mike Jones joining us. Mike, we do have a lot of questions firing in here for you, but Blake says on Facebook, #AskMike, how much of an impression has Brian Kelly made so far? I mean, obviously, Mike, we see the videos, we see the hype videos, but tell me if I'm crazy. It feels to me that his attention to detail is just locked in. But your impression so far in the last couple of weeks since y'all been getting to know more about Brian Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that is, really big for him, man, is the attention to detail. But made a super huge impression, man. Like you can tell, whenever he got here, whenever it was time to do his stuff, it was like a 180. All right. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like different from what you've been doing, and it's different even from what I did at Clemson, still a lot of the same similarities. But it's like this is his show now. Like this is how we're gonna do things, and all of it is freaking player led, like led with the mindset of graduating and led with the mindset of winning championships. They put guys, got the guys leaders of the team, and put them over their team, and then immediately like all the focus went from being like a team thing to helping these guys, help the leaders, get them in the right mindset so they can lead their team. You know what I'm saying? While also still like being like structured, but like it's like guys have their own autonomy too. But you could just tell the difference. He's made a super big impression. It's been interesting for me to watch. And see like what's more important to this guy. Like I've seen a lot of different coaches now, like with him, Sweeney, Coach O. It's interesting to see like what's important to these guys. But yeah, absolutely, man, huge impression. Like it's almost like he's like a politician. I feel like he's convincing you every time he talks. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, you're right. Like every time he talks, I'm like, yeah.
It's funny you say that, Mike, is because he has a history in that field. Google it, find out about it. It's very interesting. He never was a politician, didn't do anything, but was a part of a campaign one time, which is really interesting. You say it like that and you not really knowing. But it's very interesting you put it like that because, his family was, involved, and obviously being a kid, and if your family's in something, like if your family's a baker, if your dad's a baker, you're probably going to be baking when you grow up.
Yeah.
Facts. So it's really interesting that you say it like that because Brian Kelly, you kind of grow up, Mike, in the environment that you're in, right? Like you kind of learn from your parents, you learn from your mom and dad. And so it's interesting you bring that up. So I would say, that's a very interesting comp when you say it like that. Rick says, #AskMike, in your diet routine different in the spring during training than in the season? Any hacks? Now, Mike, I was obviously a little bit different probably than what you were. I obviously tried to gain as much weight before camp as I could
Yeah.
because I knew it was coming off. For you, are you about this, or are you of the same likeness and mindset on that?
Yeah, not as much game weight. I kind of like try to like, change my body up a little bit. I want to slim down a little bit, but I at the same time I am trying to build as much muscle as I can. One thing that's different from like in the season versus now is I'm trying to like take in so much protein right now. Like they've given me, I got a pack of protein shakes in my fridge, and I just got another one like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, dang, like I don't need this much. But in all reality, I do, and that's one thing. Like I never knew. Like even from Clemson, even last year, I didn't realize that I hadn't been get as many calories as I needed. To really maximize, and build as much muscle as I can. And so and that's one thing that is different from the season. I feel like right now, you're building, and then when you get into the season, it's maintain and stay healthy. And you're still doing the same things, but it's definitely not as heavy meals, at least for myself. I try to play lighter and play fast, but not as heavy meals. I'm probably eating a lot more vegetables, just trying to stay more on the healthy side instead of, trying to get freaking jacked right now.
My best friend, and you, Mike, I'm not a slim guy. I'm a very, shout out to the fat boys out there. But he used to do keto, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of keto.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
high protein, but a lot of like veggies, not a lot of fruits, but just, and he would eat like, those bags of vegetables you could put in the microwave and like serve.
Yeah.
He would eat like the whole bag of that. And then like 2 hours later, he was like, he's starving. But I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Over here, my big butt has got a thin crust Domino's pizza. Shout out Domino's. 3 toppings, I might add. This is not a paid promotion for Domino's, I might add. But I'm like, but you say that, and it's just such a discipline, right? Like it's such a discipline to be able to do that. And I think it's interesting, Mike, with how college football is going, that you're able to come on here and talk about that. And you just talked about, obviously, hey, man, I got more protein in my fridge than probably any human being that the normal human being does, obviously, in America. The Golden Boot Pod, our good friends, Pooh Bear, Ant, and all of them, says, hashtag Ask Mike, if you weren't playing football, what would you be doing next in life? So, Mike, what is, what football's always going to come to an end, whether you're Tom Brady, which maybe it might not for him. He's eating too much avocado ice cream, Go ahead. What you gonna say on Tom?
Oh, I was about to say, yeah, he might be playing forever. He really into that keto stuff.
Bro, the dude's eating avocado ice cream, Mike. Like, how horrible of life, like, does it have to be to eat avocado ice cream?
That's torture. If somebody wanted to torture me, sit me down with a pint of that and watch me cry as I eat this.
Or give me
That's agony.
Give me a whole thing of sherbet, like or the frozen yogurt. Like, oh, this isn't really ice cream. And I'm like, just give me the ice cream, But regardless, he might play forever, but most people don't. What do you want to do when football's over with?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question. Partly because I don't know, I know, like you said, it does end, but I do like being around the game. And so I'll probably say if I could just choose where I live, man, I'd probably try to find somewhere I can go train high schoolers and youth, maybe like, coach a little youth football team. But one thing that was big for me and that is always going to be big for me, as I continue my career is trying to, really influence the youth. I feel like there's a lot of guys like where I'm from that if they would have had the right voice in their ear, probably their situation would probably be really different from where they are right now. And everybody knows like take care of their business on the field. Everybody wants to be a great football player, but I feel like it's never really emphasized, especially like in some places more than others, like the importance of education. Like, and I'd like to be a voice to like, just help guys, be able to deal with it all, like holistically, like, your family struggles, like, I can help you with that,
Right.
your school, I can help you with that. I did all that, of course, the football aspect of it, I can help you with that. I feel like Like that's just something that's just been missing, and it's hard to do. I completely understand, why guys struggle with the way things they do. Man, it's hard to do. But if I could choose my life, I'd like to, be able to help my community or wherever community I'm at, in that aspect, because there's a lot of talented guys that, just didn't have the right mindset to, achieve the goals that they want to achieve.
I don't mean that. I know we joke around a lot, but that's pretty deep, man. So I kind of want to I want to lean into that a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, that's interesting you say that, because a lot of people, that are in sports want to go back into doing stuff like that, because a lot of people, and I'm not saying I did, but, single mom household. I mean, there's a lot of things that you want to get back to and give back, and what you want to give back.
Yeah.
Mike, do you think, and I don't want to get into, faith and all that kind of stuff, but like everything is for a purpose, and that's what you want to be there for. And that's what LSU and what these schools can give to you, and going into the NFL. And then, do you ever think about life like that after? I mean, because look, when you go into the NFL, you're going to have a lot of downtime. Like, you could be doing this a year from now. Like, do you think about all the transitions that you possibly are going to have to make, and you could be able to do that within the year?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I know God didn't give me this ability just for me to go out and ball, and make some money, That's something that, I mean, it's been big to me for a while. I seen a lot of it, like, with my own face. I seen guys that was a lot better than me, that just kind of just faded away and, just faded on the wrong track. And I'm like, I know if they just had like I had my dad with me, and my dad, he was a big push for, my whole community. But it's hard for one dude to do it, you know what I'm saying? And it
Correct.
wasn't a lot of guys like that, like my dad. And so yeah, man, that's been big for me, and it's something it's super important to me. I will get this done. I got some things that I for sure want to get done when I go to league, and can try to help make the world a better place, and at least try to start where I foot at. I feel like a lot of times, like, people, like, they want to change things, and it's hard to, like, really feel the change when you can't see it directly. That's why I want to go into my own community, and watch it. I want to see people's life change in front of my face, and so that's something that's big for me, and I am going to do it.
It's big you saying that, brother, because not a lot of people have that kind of mindset. When I was 21, 22, if God would have given me your ability, I don't know what, I don't know what would have been happening. But God does things for a reason, and that's good to hear. Mike, last one, and actually we're going to close it out with you, and we're going to end the show. Just stay around with us right after we're done here. But this last question.
Oh, yeah.
So when you see the schedule and you look forward into it, is there any, and I know we talked about this last week, but we kind of got a little off sidetrack. Is there one game that you're circling that you want to see, because look, you got a lot of pieces that are coming back, right? Is there one game in your mind that you just like, hey, we should be hitting our stride by this game? Or are you of the mindset like, hey, we need to be hitting our stride by Florida State and being ready to go?
Man, the way that I did things, especially how we did at Clemson, man, by the time it's the first time we're ready for the first game, I feel like the best teams, man, they get out on the stride. It's really important to me. And of course, that doesn't define your season at all. The first week does not. But I feel like the best teams, when it's time to go,
that's
that
ready.
you'll see they're the best, and a big part of that also was maintain. A lot of teams start out hot, but I feel like, at least for myself, you got to start your best football early. That's the difference between the teams, man. And them teams, they start here, and as the season goes, teams start losing games, teams get upset. But the best, they start here and they keep going up, And so that's big for me, Of course, I'm excited for the Bama game, 100%. But it'd be great for me to see us come out, against Florida State and start playing our best football and just keep getting better from there, better and better.
Last one, I lied. I'm thinking about tabling this question because it's gonna be a really good one. Let's table it. Let's just table it that way, because it'll make a little bit more sense once we get down there. next couple weeks. So Mike Jones Jr. joining us. Mike, stay along with us. Guys, we're going to go ahead and end the show a little bit early. We got to get out of here a little bit early. But until then, guys, we'll see you guys soon. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.